Well, thanks for coming on the show. Don't forget to like, subscribe, go to all the things, Ron. It was great having you. Thanks for...
Dude, I'm so excited to be here. Not only do I get to talk with my friend, but you cooked me some elk sausages.
Yeah.
Legit as balls, dude. Those were good.
They were really good. Tell the people who you are, what you're passionate about, or just that way they know I'm not talking to a complete stranger.
Or a robot.
A robot.
Yeah, my name's
Hitchhiker.
Ron. Hey, guys. First and foremost, I'm a husband, and I'm a father. I'm a youth pastor, and I'm also a plumber. And not only that, I mean, I have expertise in lots of other things like tattoos, hats, disc golf,
Yep.
steak. So,
Carnivore enthusiast.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
So,
Wow, that's fun. So I wanted to kind of kick things off with disc golf.
no way.
When did that sport become popular? Because I feel like it happened overnight.
Yeah, so disc golf was created in the 70s, I believe, and it was a very niche sport,
Yeah.
and it was mainly California and mainly with the hippie crowd.
Okay.
I think we would call them the hippie crowd.
The hippie crowd.
And that's just it came out of the frisbee evolution.
Yeah.
But moving into the 2000s, it started getting popular when they started putting more videos out on YouTube and stuff. But tell you what, the pandemic really made the sport grow.
Okay.
It went from 100,000 PDGA members to over 200, 300,000.
Okay.
So it grew real quick, and
People needed to get outside and go
that
do
was
something.
one place that you can go. You walk outside in nature and you throw frisbees with your friends.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Of course, keeping 6 feet apart, though.
of course, yeah.
And wearing masks.
You can't touch the basket if someone else touched the basket.
Yeah.
I started playing in 2019. I played a couple times before when I was younger, but
Okay.
2019, me and my buddy Justin were sitting out at a Starbucks one day, beautiful spring day, April 8th, 2019.
Is that the actual date?
That was the actual date.
Okay.
And I'm like, what'd be really fun today? Disc golf. And my buddy Justin's like, no way. I got discs in my car right now.
That's so funny.
Went out and played, and I just fell in love with it. And then COVID happened, and I just, I dedicated a lot of time and money to growing myself in the sport. So.
And you've done competitions and
Yeah, lots
all
of
that.
tournaments.
And you've done pretty well in some of those, haven't you?
Yeah,
First
I like to
place
say
and-
that I'm the best disc golfer out of my friend group.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean there's a couple guys that are really good. But when the reason why I wanted to get really good at disc golf is because I was getting beat by the likes of Justin and Dana. They would
Okay.
beat me all the time, and so I dedicated the practice time and the money to get the the good quality discs.
Yeah.
And focused in on, learning how to shape my shots, learning how to putt well, learning how to throw far.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started winning tournaments and, placing in tournaments. And yeah, it's been fun.
That's cool. How do you define? So I know with like actual golf and clubs, like you can tell the difference between a $5,000 putter versus a $500 putter. Is it kind of the same thing with disc golfs, like figuring out the texture of the discs and the
So
plastic
they
it's made out
have
of?
a kind of like a level of plastics.
Okay.
You have your base level plastics, which most manufacturing companies have, and those are more of almost a rubber feel to them. They beat in really quick. Like if you throw it at the basket or a tree, you'll get dings in it.
Okay.
And what happens if you use baseline plastic is they'll start to beat up over time and the flight characteristics change.
I
right?
gotcha.
But quicker. And then you have like a better plastic, like Star Plastic, and you guys won't know any of this unless you play disc golf. It's from a company called Innova. They have Star Plastic, and then they have Champion Plastic, and then they have like all these different premium plastics. So they range from $5 on Amazon to $30.
Okay.
And that's one thing I do love about disc golf. It is a lot cheaper than getting a $5,000 club. You can get a $30 disc, and it'll last for quite a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any animosity for golfers versus disc golf?
I mean, we don't normally play on the same courses, although there's some tournaments that are on ball golf courses. But
Are there really?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But there's this T-shirt or sticker that I've seen multiple times for disc golf. It says, "No little balls, just big discs." So we're throwing an 8-inch round, disc at targets. They're baskets.
Okay.
And it's just like golf. You have to learn how to shape a shot. I mean, you can get a ball to do that. You could get a ball to do that. You could get a ball to backspin. Same with the disc.
Same thing with the disc.
And you score it the same way as golf as well.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay. I didn't know that. That's cool. Where are you originally from?
That's a loaded question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was born in California.
Oh.
But raised in Hawaii.
Okay. I didn't know you were born in California.
Yeah, man. I was born in Southern California at a hospital that's no longer there. So when I went back, to visit some family, I wanted to go see where I was born. And they're like, sorry, it's not here anymore.
Okay.
Well, so was I born in California?
Yeah.
So I was raised in Hawaii, and I tell you what, Hawaii was one of the best places to grow up.
Yeah.
Lots of adventures. Even though I had a broken family.
Okay.
Just being in Hawaii, it's like the life-changing thing that happened to me. I had some good friends, but the sport I was doing, the being in the ocean, being in the mountains, being in the rivers, it was just one of those dream childhoods as far as what you can do.
Oh, I'm sure it'd be amazing. I would definitely like to be in Hawaii right now, not in Ohio. But here we are.
It's just as hot right now.
But at least you have like mountainous volcanoes and rivers and streams. I mean, you have them here, but it's all brown.
Right.
Like
You can escape into a cool river
yeah.
in Hawaii or to the ocean anytime.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be hot every day.
Yeah.
Here you have to drive to a lake and yada yada.
Yep. Yeah. What was so talk about your childhood growing up in Hawaii. What was that like?
Like I said, I came from a broken family. So we were poor, and growing up in Hawaii was hard because it was expensive. So we moved a lot of different houses. We stayed with friends a couple times. We even lived in the homeless shelter for a while.
Okay.
But other than that, going to the beach was free. Going on adventures, like I said, into the mountains and stuff, that was free. But the thing that I loved the most about growing up in Hawaii for me was the sport that I got into. I was in outrigger canoe paddling. So from the ages of 12 to 17, every summer, and when we went to a winter season as well, I did outrigger canoe paddling. So that is outrigger. So it's a 6-man canoe.
Oh, okay.
And it has an outrigger on it for balance.
Okay.
So you have the guy in the front is called the stroker, and the guy in the back is a steersman, and they're the captain in the back. So I was the captain. But yeah, so doing that was probably the best part of growing up in Hawaii because coming from a broken family, it kept me on the straight and narrow. Did I do things that were bad? Yes.
Everybody did.
Everyone did. But it kept me from doing more things.
Yeah. So what's the distance? Like, is it
Yeah,
like
so
20 miles or,
So you have different types of races, and depending on the age you are, you get to do those races. So from 12 to 14, you're doing a quarter mile.
Okay.
So it's just all out sprint. Usually get that quarter mile in a minute 50, sometimes faster.
Okay.
To like 2 minutes and 30 seconds, depending on where you are. Sometimes the ocean is rough.
Yeah.
And you're sprinting, on choppy waves and stuff. And then as you get older, you do half mile. So you go down a quarter mile, you turn the canoe and come back. So that is where you really need to be good at steering.
Yeah.
Hitting that turn right. And then again, as you get older, you progress to mile and a half, 2 mile. And then after the season is done, you can do long distance races.
Okay.
You want to hear a story?
Yeah, for sure.
So again, we were really good at this. Like, we were state champions. We went to world championships and all that stuff. So I was a legit sport. But when I was 16, we did this long distance race. It was a 32-mile race along the shore of Maui from one side to the other. And
that might not seem like a long time in a car, but when you're in a canoe,
you're using all your upper body. You don't get to use your legs to paddle.
That's a long time.
Yeah. So we entered in the 18 and under division.
Okay.
Just so happens we were the only ones in the 18 and under division, which was cool. It means we automatically won.
Okay.
However, because we were the only ones, they gave us a half an hour head start over the men's field.
Okay.
So we took off, and the crew that we had, it was awesome. We had, I believe, 9 guys, but it's a 6-man canoe. But we had a boat following us, and if we
Okay.
needed to change out, people jumped out of the
Oh,
canoe, other people
okay.
jump in. So we're going along, the west side of Maui, and we were in a spot that wasn't known for big surf,
Mm-hmm.
and we're riding along the shore, and I'm steering. I'm the captain of this crew, right? So I'm steering, and all of a sudden, a freak wave came out of nowhere and swamped our canoe. Like, it just crashed in, and we're sinking,
Dang.
right? And we're maybe 3/4 of a mile offshore,
Okay.
and we're over reef.
Oh, so you're far out.
Yeah, we're
okay.
far out. So we're over reef, and one thing about the ocean is you never know what's underneath you,
Yeah.
right? And we didn't have a baler, something to scoop the water out,
Okay.
and so we're sinking. The guy who's in the number 2 seat, his name's Tyson. He has this 1-liter water bottle, and the dude bit it open. He's just over there like biting it open to use, and he's scooping water out, right? So we're sinking, he's scooping water out. We're trying to stay afloat. We're thinking, man, these guys are going to catch us. We won the race by 45 minutes.
45 minutes?
We still killed the field. Again, they gave us a half an hour head start.
Yeah.
We hit this rough patch where we're sinking, and we still won by 15 minutes. If we were to face the men's field, we would have won by 15 minutes.
That's wild.
That's how good we were, man.
That's wild.
Yeah, we were really good.
It sounds like a Goonies adventure when when a freak wave comes over, you got a canoe sinking, guy gnawing off his 2-liter
Yeah.
to get water out.
I just wish there was gold involved.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, so we won that race, and every race that we've done after that, it was so fun to see. I mean, when people are excellent at something and they're doing that thing, it's so fun to see people in that headspace.
Yeah.
Just doing the dang thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. How long you been practicing carnivore?
I don't consider it practicing anymore. I'm full blown into the lifestyle.
Okay.
So January 2024 is when I decided to just go all in.
Yeah.
I've yo-yo dieted for lots of years. I can gain weight really fast, and I can lose weight really fast. But with the weight gain really fast, you notice some health issues pop up. And the older you get, you get some health issues.
Yeah.
So this time I was feeling super sick, had acid reflux all the time. I was having chest pains and gut issues, tingling in my legs anytime I ate. I was getting puffy, all signs pointing towards like type 2 diabetes.
Okay.
Never tested because I don't like to go to the doctor.
Yep. Me too.
But all signs led to or pointed to type 2 diabetes.
Okay.
And some other health issues. And I'm like, man, I have 5 kids and I have a wife, and I want to be around for at least 2 more years.
Yeah. Just 2?
Just 2.
Just 2. Not 20.
Not 20. Yeah.
That's too
We'll give them
extreme.
2,
Yeah.
2.5 tops. No, I wanted to be around for a long time because I only, at that point, one kid was graduated from high school. I'd love to see all my kids graduate, and I would love to see some grandkids eventually. Yeah. And so I decided after doing keto and all these different, diets that I would dive into something that I've heard lots of amazing stories of people being healed and all that kind of stuff, like gut issues and all that kind of stuff. And so jumped in 2024. I started with a 3-day water only fast because I needed to clear my body of the carb addiction, the sugar addiction, and the caffeine addiction.
Yeah.
And I think because my mind and my body were already thinking about it, it was super easy.
Yeah.
I ended up losing 90 pounds.
Yep.
In about 14 months. Gained some back because, stupid me, I decided to have some food that wasn't carnivore. And the carb addiction came back real quick.
Okay.
So I did gain some of that weight back, but I've been really strict with eating again because when I started gaining weight back, I noticed some of the symptoms coming back.
Okay.
Acid reflux
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So full-blown carnivore now for the last couple months, and I feel really good.
It really changes for me because I would say for me it was that mental. Like I woke up one morning and it's like let's give this a shot. Like you see all these people talking about it. I've watched podcasts on people like how it just changes the way they sleep, their energy, their fogginess, like they're more alert. Week in, I was like, I think it was honestly within the first 3 or 4 days of eating just meat, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. Like you physically feel better and different and in the best way possible. So I'm a huge lover of carnivore diets and just making it a lifestyle. And I did it solid for, I think, a month and a half, 2 months, and I dropped 32, and then my weight plateaued. Like it just flatlined, 32 pounds. That was it. And now I think I'm carnivore like maybe 5 days out of the week now.
Okay.
And then I'll have like a cheat meal or something.
I mean,
but
5 days carnivore and then some cake on top of that. I mean,
it's so
that
good.
Does sound pretty good.
It's so good. But I also realized carnivore is expensive.
You think so?
Just a little bit.
Yeah. So
all the meat and eggs.
I tell you what's really expensive, and mind you, I'm not a doctor. I don't know anything about health. I know what's worked for me, but what's more expensive, in my opinion, is getting the food that the American Diet Association, whatever you call them, says to eat.
Yeah.
And then getting sick.
And
then having to get your meds and having to go to the doctor.
Medical bills and surgeries.
That gets crazy. Like if it's that or buying ground beef and steak and sausages and eggs, I'll take the latter. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So I know there's different levels of the carnivore. There's like the extremists, and then there's like medium and lower.
Yeah.
I think I hit like in the middle of that medium to extreme, because my way of like just living or doing things, like I'm either in to a point where I feel comfortable because I'm fully committed. Yeah. I can't do like one leg in, one leg out,
Yeah.
And so I did the extreme probably for 2 weeks, and then I was like, I'm really craving some cheese.
Yeah.
So I'll get was it cheddar? You can have cheddar, not cheddar.
You can have cheddar
is
for
it cheddar?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So carnivore basically is animal products.
Yeah.
But with certain animal products, i.e. cheese, there's some cheese that has a bunch of crap in it.
Yeah.
So you want to get like the high quality cheese.
Yep. Yeah.
Raw cheese would be best. However, not everyone wants to go out and buy raw cheese.
Yeah.
So you find the cleanest cheese, right? So blocks of cheese are better than bags of shredded cheese.
Yep. Yeah. I don't get shredded cheese anymore.
You got potato starch and anti-caking agents in the bag cheese. So if you could slice some cheese.
Yep. I like getting the bald cheese.
Okay.
Provolone. It might be provolone cheese.
Mozzarella.
Yeah. Or mozzarella. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Mozzarella cheese. Kroger sells fresh balls of mozzarella.
I like balls of cheese.
I love those, dude. It's so good. It's so good. And then you can do like salt, pepper. I'll use garlic powder for some of the stuff. Mm-hmm. But like healthy seasoning. Yeah. Because seasoning can have a lot of stuff in it as well.
You'd be surprised how many seasonings have sugar
or
maltodextrin or dextrose in them.
Yeah.
I mean, again, as clean as you can is the best way to do carnivore. Or one of the best ways.
Yeah.
To be extreme, it's pretty extreme. But like if you want to go carnivore 100%, then you're not using spices. Mm-hmm. You're using salt.
Yep.
But mainly it's just beef and water.
Yeah.
Like that's extreme, hardcore carnivore. I fall in the line kind of like you. Like I can be extreme if I want to,
mm-hmm.
but lenient as well. So I wouldn't necessarily call it dirty carnivore, but it's a little lax, a little more lax.
Grace carnivore.
Grace carnivore.
Grace
yes.
carnivore.
Yes. So I will have sausages, which some people don't like sausages because they do have some things in them
mm-hmm.
that are, but the lower the amount of carbs, the better.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to eliminate, the processed carbs.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's, sausages that I eat that are cured with sugar.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that they're full of sugar.
Yeah.
The sugar kind of, cooks out, but it'd be like 2 grams of carbs per link. And I'm fine with that. My body responds well to that.
Yeah. Yeah. I know with shopping at Meijer, so certain sections you can find like carnivore spices. I found one that was like, I did find mayonnaise, which you're not supposed to have mayonnaise, but like for like a, half a scoop of mayonnaise, put on some deviled eggs or something. Just adds a little bit of texture
Yeah.
and flavor. But I found like avocado spice. I found ranch spice, carnivore approved, no carbs, has maybe like 1 gram of sugar.
Right.
It's like that's not going to do
That's
anything
very
to
minimal.
you.
No.
But you get a ton of flavor.
No.
You can still enjoy eating. And you're not dreading, because that's my thing. Like if I'm cooking something, I at least have to enjoy it. Otherwise, I'm just gonna be like, forget this.
Yeah.
So
if it's not good, I'm not going.
yeah, right, yeah. And so it was cool finding those. And again, kind of like touching base on the price point, they're expensive, but the latter, if you don't, take care of yourself, then 10 years down the road, you're spending thousands of dollars on medical bills.
And here's what I like to say to people. I mean, is carnivore for everyone? I believe so. Will everyone want to do it?
No.
And that's fine. I'm not one of those extreme, like vegans, like extreme where I'm going to throw, raw steak on your car if you don't do carnivore, where they're going to, just badmouth you. Like, it is what it is. I love it. I enjoy it. I'm going to be an advocate for it, and I'm going to teach people who want to learn.
Yeah.
And if you don't, that's fine, man.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually it's something that I think everyone should give a shot.
Yeah.
Give it a shot for.
Yeah, I tell people that all the time, because I've had people ask me, like, how's your carnivore? I was like, it's good. Like, I've kind of set back a little, again, like having just 2 days where I'll have like 1 meal a day, just minuscule. But that was another thing that I realized. The quantity of just America in itself and the amount of food they give you, whether you go to a restaurant or fast food or whatever, it's like I eat I cooked you some of those elk sausages, like that one sausage.
Those are amazing.
I'm good till probably 7 or 8 p.m. tonight, because it's just
That's
like
what I love.
Your body just shrinks. You realize, I mean, your stomach is only the size of your fist, so like you don't need a plate this big, just caked with food, and then you eat and eat and eat, and then you feel like crap afterwards, and so
and then you're hungry a couple hours after. What is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I usually eat 1 meal a day, and I'll listen to my body. If I do get hungry and I'm out and about, I know the snacks that I can go and get that are carnivore friendly, right?
Yeah.
But most of the time, I'm eating 1 meal a day, and my meals mostly consist of some hamburger patties. We get the frozen like 16 or 18 pack from Costco.
Okay.
I'll throw 2 in the air fryer. Some good quality bacon, and like 6 or 7 eggs.
Okay.
And that's a meal for me. Of course, I add the extra fat of like butter to the eggs.
Yeah.
I'll have coffee with butter, which is amazing. I don't know if you've ever had that.
I have. It's
tasty.
It's like a silky smooth.
Yeah. It almost takes the acidity away.
Okay.
When you drink a cup of black coffee, it has that little bit of acidity to it. It takes that away. So if I'm not, if I'm out and about and I'm hungry, I stop at like Aldi or Sheetz and grab like Chomp's beef stick, because it's all grass fed, grass finished, or pork rinds. Yeah. And mainly drink water and black coffee. But if I want a treat, and this might be bad to some carnivores, I'll grab like a Coke Zero or a Coke Zero cherry.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I really enjoy drinking the Propel water.
Okay.
The flavor Propel.
Yeah.
I goes like, it's Propel carnivore accepted one, and it says it is. So I was like, you can get, I mean, they're super cheap, but the flavor is just so good. And again, it's just a side thing from like drinking regular water. Have something with flavor. But even on cheat days, like I don't necessarily do a ton of junk food, but like on cheat days, I kind of go towards just like the whole foods pyramid. So like potatoes, still meat, nothing that's like heavily processed, some vegetables. And what's funny is, so when I first started, I don't know if I told you this, when I first started carnivore, I was like a weekend, dude, I had a hankering for strawberries. It was the weirdest thing. And I was like, all right, Sam, let's go to the store. You could do just 1 strawberry a day for like a little sweetener. Dude, I ate 2 packs, the 2 carts of strawberries when I got back here. And I was like, I don't know what's happening. Like, I literally cannot stop because it tasted
blacked out.
So freaking good.
Blacked out.
It's all a blur. Before I knew it, I had
strawberry juice dripping down your face.
I was just shoving them in, eating the stems and all. I was like, dang.
So good.
Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah. Tell you what, though, like if you were to do like keto, which is like a variation of carnivore, but you add some more fruits and vegetables to it, which is still a really good diet. Yeah. having some berries, like every once in a while, just man, it hits the spot. Blueberries, blackberries.
It just intensifies your taste buds like crazy.
So good. Or some strawberry water, something like that. Oh yeah, super good.
Yep.
But yeah, man, carnivore for me has been a life changer, and more than a diet, I'm trying to make it a lifestyle. I would love for my wife and my kids to be on it with me a little bit more, but that's where it gets expensive because I have 5 kids, right? So I have 3 growing boys in the house. Oh
yeah, all they do is eat.
Yeah, and to give them the ground beef and eggs, having to make 12 eggs and 2 pounds of ground beef, that can get expensive.
Oh yeah,
but they all love it.
Yeah,
my boys will ask for it all the time.
That's fun.
But if we could keep it at ground beef and eggs, it'd be a lot cheaper than like when they start asking for ribeye.
Yeah.
No, go get a job. Yeah, buy me a ribeye first.
Go get some part-time work.
and then I'll see what I can do for you.
Yeah, my sister and Andy recently went to Texas. They took Decker down there for his birthday, and they wanted to give him the whole experience. They gave him his own room and stuff, and
nice.
Andy and Rachel had bought him some snacks, and it was like I think they bought him like a 12-pack of Kit Kats or something, and Andy got a 12-pack of Reese's. And at some point during the day, they were just having downtime, and Andy and Rachel go to the room, and he's like, "Hey, Decker, you want to trade me a Reese's for a Kit Kat?" Decker had ate all the Kit Kats, and he's like, "Bro, why'd you eat all that?" He's like, "I was hungry."
Yeah,
it's like my nephews, all they do is eat and eat and eat. So it's just funny to hear stories like that. So, but yeah, to relate to kids, man, they just devour food when they're growing.
Yeah, especially boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, my daughters, they have they love food too, but they have expensive taste in food.
Okay.
So it's not that they eat a lot, but they want the higher quality,
like
sushi and stuff like that.
Okay.
Again, get a job.
Yeah.
And then you can have all of the sushi you want.
Yeah.
And if you make enough, take me too.
Yep. Yeah.
I'll go eat some raw fish with you.
They have to pay the dad tax.
Exactly.
The dad tax.
Dad tax used to be, the chocolate during Halloween, but now, give me a roll of sushi.
Now it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
What's funny is I have my friend Brittany. She's huge, loves sushi, and we were hanging out one day, and I was like, "You know what sushi I really like?" I was like, "Meyer sushi," and she went irate. She's like, "That's not real sushi."
Not real sushi.
I was like, "Yes, it is." And so she went to a real sushi joint and got like 5 or 6 things, just different textures and sushi and stuff. I did not like it.
Oh,
I did not like
Okay.
it. I was like, I'm gonna stick to my Meyer sushi. And
Yeah.
she's like, "You're awful."
2 things. I've always warned my kids not to have gas station sushi. The lowest quality you can go would be like Meyer and Kroger.
Oh, come on.
I mean, no, like stay away from gas stations.
Yeah, I
sushi.
don't touch gas
Meyer,
station
Kroger,
sushi.
that's good sushi, but that's the lowest you can go. Don't go below that.
Don't go any lower.
Go Kroger, Meyer, and above. So I grew up in Hawaii, and because you're right there on the ocean, you get the freshest,
you get real sushi.
Right. So the stuff that we eat a lot in Hawaii is called poke.
Okay.
Which is just diced up fresh fish with different seasonings on it, like soy sauce or brown sugar, or kimchi flavors and stuff like that, with some onion, and you just eat it raw.
Yeah.
And, they sell it by the pound, quarter pound at like almost every grocery store.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like fresh fish, man.
Yeah.
And to get ocean fish in Ohio, you have to be skeptical of how fresh it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fresh caught and then frozen and then shipped, but we don't know how long that process is from catching to plating.
Yeah.
So when it comes to quality, I know there's good sushi out there.
Yeah.
But if you go to a country or a state that has the ocean right there, there's nothing like fresh caught fish.
When we were Andy and I were visiting a restaurant in Australia when we were over there, and he got sushi, or no, I tried a platter of sushi, and he got like a T-bone steak or something, but it was right by the ocean, and they marketed like fresh sushi, whatever. Now that was really good, but it wasn't as extreme as like, because what my friend got was like all this fancy stuff. It was I just didn't like it. But there's like fish. I love fish, so like I could probably eat raw fish a lot, with some spices, a little bit of herbs, whatever. But yeah, there is a different texture to having real sushi as opposed to kind of like more processed sushi and stuff. So
that's, I love fish too, but one fish I will never really enjoy is salmon.
Okay.
Wild caught might be different, but I just don't have it in me to eat salmon.
Okay.
But majority of the salmon that you get, they're all farmed, farmed fishes, and that I just don't like the quality of fish when it comes to the farmed, but especially salmon.
I've tried I don't know if I'm saying ahi tuna. Ahi tuna. I do like that.
Yeah.
I think that's really good. And super easy to cook.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like sushi.
Well, one thing that we did in Hawaii, so good. So if you can get ahi at like Costco or whatever here too. It's not going to be the freshest, but it's still good, right?
Yeah.
So if you take that ahi tuna, you dice it up. You could look up a recipe for poke. Add some soy sauce and some pepper or whatever and some onions, and you roll it into like a egg roll wrap, and you deep fry that.
Ooh, yeah.
And get poke rolls. So good. But what makes it even gooder, actually way gooder, would be getting some wasabi and melting some butter and putting some wasabi in the butter.
Oh.
Dipping it in wasabi butter.
And just like mixing that up. And
bro.
That sounds really good.
It is really good.
That sounds really good.
I think we should.
We're gonna go to the store.
Let's go.
That's it for the podcast. We'll see y'all later. Like, yeah, that sounds really good. Honestly, that's one of the favorite things why I love cooking is getting to experiment with different foods and stuff. And so Mike Bean, he lives, just 5 minutes from here. I went through a phase where like I was overcooking meals. So like every day I was calling, "Hey, you home?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "I got a plate for you." And I bring him over a container. Oh man, he's like, "Bro, I love this season of your life." I was like, "I bet you do." But yeah, I love experimenting with foods, and I still to this day, there's one food that I just do not have a taste for, and that's sauerkraut. I'll try everything else, but sauerkraut, it's just not my. It's not my thing.
That. My dad was a sauerkraut fan.
I just don't understand it.
My dad loved sauerkraut so much that you ever been to a Clippers baseball game?
A long time ago.
Okay, so they do dime a dog night.
Mm-hmm.
You could get 10 hot dogs for $1 or one for a dime, whatever.
Yeah.
He would bring his own sauerkraut in.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he would have this baggie of those sauerkraut.
That's so funny.
Sits down at the table. He's just unloading sauerkraut on his hot dog.
That's so funny.
That's my dad. I remember growing up, a frequent meal would be kielbasa and sauerkraut.
I could eat the kielbasa.
Yeah. Push the sauerkraut aside.
Sauerkraut, yeah. Yeah. Yep. So you're living in Marion now. You still in Marion or Marysville?
Nope.
Not in Marion?
One more guess.
Marysville.
Mount Gilead.
Mount Gilead. Okay. You're in Mount Gilead now.
Gilead.
When did you move to Ohio, and what brought you to Ohio? And to hear that, how'd you meet Lynette?
Okay, so I met Lynette at church in Hawaii.
Okay.
But it's a fun story because I didn't know she existed, right?
Until you met her.
Until I met her.
Yeah.
So when my family fell apart in Hawaii, like divorce and all that kind of stuff, one of the constant things that was in my life was, going to like this youth group thing where there was a rock climbing wall and skating and there's basketball and stuff.
Okay.
Through that, I met this cool dude named Alex. Alex became more of a mentor to my brother and I because we would show up all the time. He would pick us up to go, play basketball and all that stuff.
Okay.
So he was there. He prayed for us and he talked to us and all that stuff. I went to Bible college and got a 2-year degree and came back home to Hawaii. And I was going to go back for a 3rd year to get a little minor in music or worship studies. But my youth pastor convinced me to do a internship at the church. And he's like, Alex's sister is going to be in the internship too. I'm like, Alex who? He's like, Alex Camp. I'm like, he doesn't have a sister. I've known this guy for years and he never talked about his sister. But one thing I did know is Alex is a handsome dude. So I'm like, his sister must be hot. All right. And she was in Costa Rica at the time,
Okay.
studying, Spanish, learning Spanish, not studying, but learning Spanish, living with local families and stuff.
Okay.
And so I ended up doing the internship, and I think 3 days into it is when she showed up, and here she comes walking in. I'm like, yep, that's Alex's sister. She's older than me, and so I never thought anything would ever happen with that, right? So we just developed a friendship, and then one night she's like, "What do you think about our friendship?" I'm like, "It's pretty cool, but
Could be gooder.
could be gooder." And she felt the same, and like our story is so different. We've been married 21 years now.
Congrats.
Thank you. Every day was perfect. Every day was perfect.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah. No lows, all highs.
Uh-huh.
No, but 21 years, it's awesome. But we through the internship, we weren't allowed to date. Okay, so the first half of the internship, we knew that we wanted to progress in our relationship, so we ended up dropping out of the internship.
Oh, okay.
We had our first date in December. We got engaged in January, and then we got married in May.
3 months. No. January, February, March. Okay, so like 6 months.
6 months.
Okay.
Yeah. So we did a lot of learning in the first 6 months, and a lot more learning in the last 21
years. Yeah.
Yeah. So we met at this internship, got married in Hawaii,
Mm-hmm.
and then we ended up moving out of Hawaii to another country. Yeah.
And that was
New Zealand.
New Zealand.
Amazing country.
What took you to New Zealand?
Airplane.
Well, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you need that,
Yeah. Swimming wouldn't have been good. A canoe wouldn't have been good.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
He said an airplane.
so the church we grew up in Hawaii, they have extension churches all over the
Okay.
Pacific Rim. Just so happens New Zealand is a part of that Pacific Rim. And so they wanted to establish a church down there. Her parents had moved down there to help, try to get something established.
Okay.
And going to New Zealand was something that I always wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a story for another time, but I felt God put that on my heart when I was like 14.
Okay.
And it was just the avenue to get down there. Her parents went down there. So I'm like, let's do it.
Yeah.
We sold everything, and we had our first big move of faith. And we went down to New Zealand. We opened up a coffee shop and bakery with her parents. And my heart was always to work with young people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I helped with the coffee and bake shop. But then I also got a job at a youth health organization, and I was the chief youth worker there. My main job there was to get young people from going into juvenile detention.
Okay.
Try to bring them into our space and run programs for them to
Okay.
keep them out of the street and stuff. Through that, I got to meet, a lot of the big wigs in the country, the prime minister, which is like the president,
Okay.
chief youth court justice, like all these amazing people because of the work that we were doing with young people.
Yeah.
And the goal was to get them out of the street because, when you're just doing the street thing, you're up to no good most of the time. So it was really rewarding. But the job was made redundant when, the global recession happened, basically. And nobody wanted to fund the organization anymore.
Okay.
So they had to start dropping,
Okay.
employees.
Yeah.
And we ended up moving to Redding, California after New Zealand to go to Bethel Church.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, and it was awesome. And I worked for Starbucks in New Zealand and then transferred to Starbucks in Redding, California.
Okay.
And it's so cool, man. We were there 2009 to 2012, so about 2.5 years.
In Redding or
In Redding.
How long were you in New Zealand
just
for?
about 5 years.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's a good bit.
Yeah, our daughters were born down there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Bailey and Kaya. So we're in Redding, and lots of things happen in Redding.
Yeah.
Good things, bad things, but overall good things. But one of the good things that happened was I got to meet our buddy Josh.
Mm-hmm.
We were working together at Starbucks. I was a shift supervisor, and he was there for Bethel School of Supernatural Bethel School of Supernatural Ministry.
The BISM.
The BISM. And we became friends. We called each other ninjas. And what's up, my ninja?
What's up, my ninja?
From a YouTube video. You should check it out.
Yeah.
And we struck up a conversation one day because we wanted to leave Redding.
Okay.
We wanted to pursue something else. And he's like, "Man, you should go to Ohio." I'm like, why would I do that? I
I
grew up
go
in
from
Hawaii.
Ohio to New Zealand to California, Ohio.
Right. Yeah, it's landlocked.
Yeah.
I know there's a Great Lake there, but I mean,
Alum Creek.
Alum Creek, Delaware Lake. But why would I go, half or more than halfway across the United States,
Mm-hmm.
and be away from everything that I knew? But it was a challenge and it was an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And at this time, this would be the third time that Lynette and I sold everything and made a faith move.
And by this time, you had 5 kids.
So we had 3 kids.
Or 3 kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we had Bailey and Kaya in New Zealand, and then we had Zion in California.
Okay.
He's our only Californian kid. And it was February 2012. We were on a phone call or a Zoom call with Josh's parents,
Mm-hmm.
and they invited us out to, come check out Ohio. And so it was wintertime, and we came out after meeting them once on a Zoom call, Skype call, whatever it was. And we stayed with them for a week. They showed us around, and we just fell in love with the idea of raising our family here.
Okay.
It was cheap. The schools are good. There's lots of jobs. So went home, and 2 weeks later, I packed up our car, our dog, with as much stuff as we could, and I drove across the country and moved here. Lynette stayed back with the 3 kids to help, close up some things.
Yeah.
So everyone was here in March 2012.
Wow.
Been here 13 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel that long.
It doesn't. It went by really quick.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
When did I meet you?
2016.
Okay, so you had been here for a few years already.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that does not feel like it's been that long.
It was like 3 days ago. Feels
Yeah,
like.
last week. So you, Hawaii, New Zealand, Redding, California, and then Ohio. What were some things that were happening in Ohio when you guys started to plant your roots here? What was that process like?
And so it was crazy. So we moved here, and we were gonna help Josh's parents at their church with whatever we could.
Yeah.
Right. There were some people who called us missionaries, but that wasn't what we were. So we would help with youth ministry, with worship team, and all that kind of stuff. However, 2 months into it, Josh's parents felt God called them to Tennessee. So we came, and we were going to help them at the church, and then they're like, "All right, see you later."
See you later.
Yeah. Well,
bye.
see you later.
Yeah.
And Josh left as well. And I remember walking with Josh one day. I'm like, I moved my family, across the United States to help, do this thing, and you guys are leaving. I'm like, I could punch you so hard right now. And that's because I didn't know who I was at that point.
So frustration and confusion.
Yeah. It was actually opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. So we met a lot of amazing people we still call friends and stuff. And, the kids still have friends from that time in our life. We were there. We didn't have the pastor anymore. So they had interim pastors, and it didn't seem like anything was really going anywhere. Josh came back to Ohio and started going to Northgate Church, and became the youth pastor.
Yeah.
And he's like, Ron, you want to come help me with youth ministry? I'm like, heck yeah, dude. I love Josh. Josh is an amazing guy. One of my gooder friends.
Gooder.
Yeah. And yeah, man. So in 2016, August 2016, we started going to Northgate Church.
Okay.
But, beginning, in Ohio, I worked for Starbucks, and I helped open up the Delaware Starbucks. Then I became a manager at Starbucks, and I worked all over Ohio with Starbucks. But it was time to get out of Starbucks, and
that's a lot of bucks.
A lot of bucks. And somehow we kept having kids.
Yeah.
Don't know how that happened. It's probably because I didn't have a PlayStation or an Xbox. Thank God. But so it was time to start making more money to provide for my family. So, just some things, happened, things that I tried, different positions and jobs. And and now I'm doing what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing in this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you had started your own tile company.
Yep.
You did that. Was that a year, 2 years?
It was a couple years.
Was
but,
it? Okay.
But before that, I worked with you at International Paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've mentioned.
You remember that place?
Yeah, I've mentioned International Paper a few times. So here's a fellow employee who has experienced International Paper.
Yeah.
It's a great place.
It
isn't
is.
It?
You know,
Yeah.
one of the best things about working at International Paper is when you get to leave in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. That and the third shift diet
Yep.
of energy drinks and vending machine food.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
good.
will say it helped make me who I am today, but it was not fun.
Yeah.
It wasn't fun.
It was a low point in my life too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But before that, you had another guest on, Todd Dockenball.
Yep. Yeah.
Before I went to International Paper, my wife and I got to help them establish Fresh Start Cafe and Bakery, which was really cool.
Yep.
A lot of great conversations were had in that building.
Yeah.
Between customers and myself and Todd and Lee, which they're amazing people.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yep.
So that was fun. But yeah, International Paper, then my own tile company. And then one thing about tiling is my dad was a tile guy as well. And he raised me to be scared of water. Like, don't touch plumbing because water can bring a house down.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, I get that. And I noticed that my dad would just be like hands off when it comes to plumbing.
Yeah.
So that was ingrained in me. So as a tile guy, I didn't touch any plumbing. I didn't understand it. I could look at it and be like, oh my gosh, no idea what's going on here. It could have been something as easy as turning a spout on, you know? Like I have no idea what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
Get a plumber. But because I said get a plumber, I was held up by plumbers all the time.
Okay.
And so there was jobs where I couldn't get paid for weeks at a time because plumbers had to do their job in order for me to finish my job.
Okay.
And in my mind, I'm like, I got to learn how to do plumbing so I can, you know, get
Keep
paid.
progressing and yeah.
Yeah. I mean, once I learn plumbing, I can offer my customers a better pay or a package, right?
Yeah.
Which would give me more pay, but it would be cheaper for them because they didn't have to subcontract out any of their contractors.
Yeah.
And so in 2019, I took on an apprenticeship with a plumbing company here in Delaware, and it was going really good. And then COVID happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I stuck with plumbing because plumbing was more essential than tile work. Like, question for you. If you needed a water heater or a tile backsplash, which one are you getting?
Probably the water heater.
Exactly. So I stuck with plumbing because it was more essential. And who knew how long this pandemic was going to last for, right? And we worked every day because we were health and safety of the nation with people being at home all the time now.
Using more plumbing and
there was more repairs and replacements that were needed.
Yeah.
So I grew really quick in the plumbing industry, and I actually really enjoyed it until my knee started, falling apart. And then it was hard to really do the work.
Yeah.
That my weight was increasing, all the time. And but I still do some plumbing work, and I do some other things as well. And one of the main reasons why I wanted to lose the weight is so I could do better work for the customer, right? I want to serve well in whatever I do.
Yeah.
So if I'm trying to get into some tight spaces or climbing upstairs or going into the attic or crawl space and I'm heavy and I can't do the job well, then I'm not doing my customer any service, right?
Right.
So I learned, quickly that, I needed to take care of my body in order to do the work that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it's all to provide a great customer experience.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And now you're working. How big is the crew? Is it just you and the owner?
So I'm his only full-time employee from what I understand.
Okay.
I see a bunch of people that work for him.
Okay.
But I think they're all subcontracted out.
Okay.
So I'm his only full-time employee, and then we have a carpenter who's there with us every day.
Okay.
And then we have painters, tile guys, drywallers. But we do full remodels.
Yeah.
A lot of bathrooms, a lot of kitchens, laundry rooms. Those are fun. So every day we're doing big projects.
Yeah.
And I love the way my boss sets it up too. Monday, Tuesday, we're doing, demo and then rough in for plumbing. And then the rest of the week, we're just doing finishes.
Okay.
But through the rest of the week, I have a plumbing schedule that I keep, and I go around Ohio and reconnect plumbing, like sinks and stuff for countertop companies. So I love it, man.
Is that still working with the same company?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we have these contracts with countertop companies.
Oh, okay.
They're like, hey, can you come and reconnect, this sink in Piqua,
I
Ohio?
gotcha.
Yeah, dude, I'll drive 2 hours out there for you.
Okay.
Reconnect that. I love it. Again, it's about providing a great customer experience, and I love that I get to do that every time I go out there.
Do you feel like there's still a sense of freedom in what you do and like the working and atmosphere? Like you kind of, like, you know what I mean?
Freedom as far as like being who I am.
Yeah, and like, because sometimes people who work like a 9 to 5, it's like, 9 to 5, I'm at my job.
Yeah.
But does this
I
supply
like it.
like that sense of freedom?
I like it. I mean, with International Paper, it's the same thing every day.
Yeah.
You just didn't know when your machine was going to break down.
Yeah. Which those were great days.
But with plumbing, it's something new and challenging almost every day.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, you're still doing plumbing,
And you're dealing with different designs and connections
Yeah. And what's cool is the figuring it out portion of plumbing. Sometimes you have to think on your feet, and you just have to come to a conclusion like, this is what I need to do.
Okay.
Sometimes it's trial and error, and that's what's fun because it's different every day, right?
Yeah.
And so as far as freedom goes, it's freedom. I'm not stuck in a 9 to 5. I'm stuck in a start to finish.
Yeah.
Every day. Some days it's early, sometimes it's later, but I love it, man.
But there's a sense of value to it.
Yeah. There's nothing like a customer coming up to you and saying, thank you for helping me out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's even gooder when they come up with a tip and they're like, thank you for helping me out. Here's $20. Here's I've been given wine before. I've been given steak before. Yeah. I mean, people are so generous, but it's because I do a good job for them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And they're appreciative of your work and
yes, sir.
Yeah, professionalism in that field. That's cool. I kind of want to backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
Because again, this kind of falls in, eventually it'll tie into like where you're at now and what you're doing. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about a little bit of your past when you lived in Marion.
Okay.
Can we talk about like the weird
dark days?
The dark days?
Yeah, we could do that for sure.
Yeah, I was thinking about that today. I was like, what would be like a good topic with Ron? And kind of like not hashing out, but like talking about the dark days to where you're at now. And I think it's really beneficial.
Yeah, what I love about my story, and we'll call it a testimony.
Yeah.
Is if I can overcome it, it gives permission for someone else to overcome those same things. So I'm not shy with sharing my testimony.
Okay.
Because I know there's power in it. Yeah. But yeah, man. Again, my story and how I seen it and how I experienced it will be different than how someone from the outside experienced it. So I'll tell you my side, and if you have anything to add, that's totally cool as well.
I'll probably add and have some questions.
Yeah, because I mean, it's funny enough, you actually lived with us through some of that.
Yep.
So yeah, man. Man, where to begin?
Here we go. We'll begin here. So I went through a phase where I lived in my car for 97 days.
Jeez. 98 would have been a lot, but 97, that was all right.
It was so rough. It was so hard. But yeah, I lived in my car for 97 days. And then I think you knew what was going on very early in the stage. You're like, hey, whenever you need a space, whatever, like we have an attic. It was a finished attic, really big area. He's like, if you ever need it, it's there. And eventually, after day 97, I was like, I'm done with this. I can't do this anymore. It's like, hey, Ron, that space still available? And this was, gosh, would this been 6 years ago?
Again,
7?
Time flies.
It does. I know it was over 5 years ago.
2017, 18 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, lived with you guys for close to 2 years, I think, wasn't it? So, well, let's just start there. I move in. Go.
I mean, you saw it too. Like every day was perfect.
Yeah. Every day was great.
Every day was great. Yeah. So I was in a season of life where I had no idea what came over me, but there was just like heavy depression. And anxiety was just filling my life. And I think mainly because I didn't know who I was, what I was called to do. I didn't know. I had passions for things, but I didn't I didn't feel like I was called to do anything in that time. I'm like, dude, life sucks.
Yeah.
I'm doing this every day. I'm going to work, coming home, and there was no joy or anything. I don't remember the exact date, but I was doing tile work with my dad down in Columbus, and as I'm driving down 71, like it just came over me, like I wanted to go head on into traffic
Mm-hmm.
and just end my life because it was that bad, but it wasn't that bad, right?
Yeah.
So I thought it was that bad. I'm like, my kids don't need me, my wife doesn't need me. Who needs me? I felt like no one needed me. So, and because I wasn't pursuing anything, I didn't know who in the future would need me, right? So something came over me heavy that day, and I told my wife that I wanted to end it.
Yeah.
I don't remember the conversation, but I remember everyone trying to get a hold of me that day. And it was a hot summer day, I know that. And I had a black Expedition with black leather interior.
Mm-hmm.
And man, it gets crazy. And I just want to say, if you ever have any thoughts about suicide, please reach out and get some help. It's not a fun place to be in, but the people that you're going to leave behind and the life that you could have had because you decided to end your life, you'd be much better alive and being loved. So yeah, seek help. I remember being out in front of my house at the end of the workday. Like I left early and I sat in a parking lot contemplating what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I drove home and I sat in front of my house with heat on full blast, windows up, baking in the car. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna kill myself in front of my house.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was so strange to be in a spot like that.
Yeah.
Like how could anything be so bad that I would want to do that in front of my house?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah. In moments of feeling like anxiety, and if that the like thoughts or darkness, kind of like, did you experience that like from the moment you woke up? It was like, this is my life. Like,
Yeah,
this is
yeah, and a lot of it's because I isolated myself. Whenever I started feeling anxiety and depression, I didn't want to talk to anyone.
Okay.
So I started pulling myself away.
Okay.
And because I pulled myself away, I wouldn't listen to how people loved me.
Okay.
My kids would still come up to me and say, "Oh, Dad, you're the best dad. I love you, Dad." My wife would still love me. But I wasn't hearing any of that because I've isolated myself for so long
Mm-hmm.
that the only thing that I was listening to was the anxiety, the depression, and the bad thoughts.
Okay.
And so, you know what? This is how I know God is real, because one, I'm sitting here talking to you today.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one. But he never stops pursuing,
Right.
and he never stops wooing you. He will send someone, something, some song, some bird, something random to just get your attention. And everyone knows that it's his kindness that leads people to repentance, right?
Mm-hmm.
In those moments where I thought I was the most evil person, where I was the most unloved person, he loved me so well.
Yeah.
And that really changed my life.
Yeah.
People started coming around. Pastor Ronnie came around. A lot of people started coming around. And again, I wasn't fully in the mind space that I am now.
Mm-hmm.
I still tried to isolate and hide from people because I didn't want them to see me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how could someone who has this going for him fall into such deep darkness? Like, that's how I thought about me. Like, no one's going to want to see that, or, no one's going to respect that.
Okay.
But, the love that was shown to me by my wife and my kids, like, that pulled me out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it did take some time. And sometimes, there's moments where some of that can come back. But I know instantly where to go to.
Yeah.
I mean, his love is just amazing. Right? And Man, that's why I'm saying, like, for me to be able to share this story again is going to give permission to
Right.
someone else to overcome the same
Yeah.
situation that I've been in. And not saying that I'm an expert in anything, but I have some wisdom to help talk to people now
Mm-hmm.
because of that situation.
Yeah.
And it's the testimony, man.
I feel like that's I think one of my favorite words is experience, because it's not always wanted, but every day we're experiencing something that takes us to another experience and another experience, and it's a forever domino effect. But I remember those days, but sitting here now, I'm thinking like there was always community.
Mhm.
Like there was always a sense of community, and that was something I don't think, from outside perspective looking at your experiences, it was one thing that I would always see is like, even at times when you would kind of shut yourself away, isolation, but you were always in community. You might have been isolated, but you were still in community.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the greatest things about community is eventually you'll get on the right track,
Yeah.
and you'll start
Yeah.
to see things for,
Yeah.
and how people view you and want to do life with you.
Yeah.
And I think that's one piece I don't think you ever gave up on. It might
Yeah.
have felt like it or looked like it, but
Yeah.
I don't think you ever gave up on that
Yeah.
aspect of it.
The way I was raised in Hawaii, outside of my family with the sport I was doing, it was all about ohana. Of course, like Lilo and Stitch, ohana means family, right?
Yeah.
So we did everything together. And so that was just part of who I was.
Okay.
But I learned that cruel and cool trick of isolating while still being a part of community. I put on a front where I try to be funny and just like, I don't want to show the real me right now because you guys won't like it. Those are all thoughts in my head,
Yeah.
But I always wanted to be around people, and I have more of a passion now to be around people than ever,
Yeah.
because life happens in community.
Yeah.
Life doesn't happen in isolation,
Right.
not even close. So, sticking around people and letting people come to our house, and that was, again, like you were saying or alluding to, I mean, that's what kept me afloat as well.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I never know is how I impacted someone's life.
Okay.
And I don't know how I'm going to impact and to what extent I've impacted someone's life. But it's fun hearing some stories, in moments of darkness where people are like, yeah, man, I really loved hanging out with you in that time because, it really did something for me.
Yeah.
So even though I was in a dark space and I was isolating myself, the gift of God is without revoke. Like, He's given us gifts, and those gifts can still shine through even in the darkness.
Right.
Even more so, I think. And you can still make impact. However, when you're around the right people and you're walking in love and, you're expressing that, it's more life-changing.
Yeah. How long did that last?
A couple years,
Okay.
2 or 3 years. It's crazy too, because, man, like your IP, years at IP, you wanted to just put those out of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
those 2-3 years I wanted to put out of my mind.
Yeah.
And I don't dwell on them. I don't think about them much. But people knew my wife in that time, and my wife would share stories and ask for prayer.
Yeah.
With what was going on.
Yeah.
And there's still people who would come up to me today and say, man, you've changed so much, and I love it.
Yeah.
From where you were to where you are now. In those 3 years, 2 to 3 years that I was in that season, I feel like they never happened. But when people say, like, you're such a changed person, I'm like, yeah. I mean, it really was the grace and the love of the Father, but my wife was such a rock.
Yeah.
She led her family really well in that time where I felt like I had nothing to give. And she's still amazing. She's never not going to be amazing.
Yeah, she's a rock star.
She was amazing in that time period, man. I like to forget it, but because of my wife's faithfulness, people still talk to me about how they see the difference in my life.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Do you think, I mean, I kind of know the answer to this, but going through that season, those dark days, kind of set you and your family up for success.
You can definitely say that.
You know, it kind of set, once you started realizing things and figuring out, you know, mind, body, soul, you know, relationships and stuff, it kind of set like a concrete foundation to build on once you started like walking out of that and experiencing things. And I know you had a conversation with Craig Ferris one time.
Yes.
So share about that a little bit.
Oh man, that's where like the beloved identity really came like full force at me. It was so cool, man. I got into a mind space again where I felt worthless, like the biggest piece of dog crap ever. Can I say dog crap?
I think you can.
Okay, dog crap. Big piece of dog crap. And I went to church early one Sunday morning and just feeling, you know, the worst I felt in a long time. And worthless and all that good stuff. And I sent this long text to my wife. I kept it on my phone so I could refer to it all the time. Saying how I'm a worthless piece of dog crap. If there's any time that you could get out of this marriage, it would be now. I'm lazy. I'm a bad husband. I'm a bad father. You know, I got nothing going for me.
Yeah.
And my wife, being the amazing woman she is, responded with nothing but love.
Yeah.
And that's why I love to keep that text, because the way she responded showed the Father's heart. She had every right to be upset with me and, you know, say, yeah, just get out of my life. Sorry. But she responded with love, and it was so cool. I ended the conversation, and I'm like, you know, it was a normal day after that.
Yeah.
But the following day, Craig Ferris was going to be, actually that day, Craig Ferris was at church speaking.
Okay.
Following day, it was KLS, Kingdom Life School.
Okay.
And Mike Bean had asked to meet with me. We were going to go eat dinner at Chipotle. And
Chipotle.
And he's like, "Is it all right if I bring a guest?" I'm like, "Sure." He's like, "Craig Ferris." I'm like, "What?" You know, shout out to Craig Ferris.
We love you, Craig.
Yeah, you're an amazing dude.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Anyway, can we?
Yeah.
Pause. I gotta go to the bathroom.
Oh yeah, you're good. Well, we're just gonna do a short intervention while Ron is going to the bathroom. Don't forget to go to bearsdon'tfly.com. Subscribe to YouTube and Spotify. You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Post a lot of stuff to Facebook, but yeah, would love your support for the show and talking all good and great things. My name is Samuel Kilgore, and I'm the host of Bears Don't Fly. And here comes Ron coming back now as we continue this story, Living as Ron Lawson.
And
Action. Okay.
Where were we? The beginning, right? I was born at a young age.
So wait, you lived in no.
Yeah. So yeah, we went to dinner at Chipotle across from Northgate Church, and Craig was late by like 15 minutes, which was cool. He's the guest. I respect that.
Yeah.
Me and Mike got to talk a little bit. But I didn't know Craig at the time.
Okay.
So I knew of him.
You knew of him.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he walks in and he greets, Mike, and he greets me. And then within 30 seconds, he looks at me. He goes, "Ron, you need to understand something. You need to believe the love that your wife has for you." And then he just starts unloading the Father's love on my life. And all the heaviness and the darkness that was over me lifted instantly. And everything became so clear in that moment, like literally flipping a light switch on from darkness to light. It was crazy. I've never felt like that before. Again, with religion, I was taught you have to do more to get more.
Yeah.
And that conversation set the tone for a term that, somebody that we follow uses is beholding is the means of becoming.
Mm-hmm.
Just beholding the love that he has for you and his beauty, you get to become who you were called to be, who he's created you to be.
Mm-hmm.
So in that moment, being lavished, with the Father's love, I'm like, man, I know I'm a son. Where before I'm like, I'm a son some days,
Yeah.
but I need to work harder to be, a gooder son.
I gotcha.
Where there's nothing I could do, nothing I ever done, nothing I will ever do that can get me out of his family.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm his son. And it changed my life, man. And that was 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an awesome conversation.
Yeah.
And then we had KLS that night, and he was the guest speaker. And the way he hugged me and spoke to me that night, you could feel it coming through him that it was just the Father's love just shining through him. Am I talking too much about God?
No.
Okay, good, because everyone needs to experience this love.
We laugh, we cry, we cuss sometimes. That's just the way of the show.
Crap.
So, yeah.
It's like that.
I've dropped a few words,
F-bombs?
I haven't said any F-bombs, but we say shit a lot.
Dang. I'll drop your first F-bomb, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Forget about it.
Forget about it. That's funny. Well, yeah, that's so cool, and again, amazing. Being one of the many people who have witnessed kind of like just that switch, that turnaround in your life. What did that do then and now, obviously, but like when that light switch happened, how did it impact your relationship with your wife, your kids, your friends?
Yeah. So when you experience true love, it frees you up to love well.
Yeah.
Right. It's not. I mean, you're no longer working towards loving people. You just love them because of the love that you've been shown. Love is patient. Love is kind.
Right.
All those things. When you experience love and like, oh my gosh, it is that, then you're like, oh, I could do that too. Because it's ingrained in it. It's like it's put into us.
Yeah.
So I was able to start loving more and experiencing, I guess the lost the word. I was loving more, and I was experiencing, what that does for someone, right? So I guess the consequence of loving well.
Yeah.
I was loving well, and it was coming back to me. And because this was happening, man, it grew my capacity for loving even more. Not everything's been perfect since then, but I learned to talk to people differently. I learned to, listen differently. I learned to put love on and keep it on differently. Yeah, man, it just completely life-changing.
Yeah. Yeah. And just the rewarding benefits too kind of puts you in not a forceful position, but like an open position, like you said, to receive more, to be aware of more, and like really take in everything and everyone that's happening around you and for you and with you, and like all the good and great things.
Yeah. I mean, when you realize that the love is for everyone, and he loves, the person next to me just as much as he loves me.
Right.
And it says in John that he has the same love that he has for Jesus, he has for us. That's mind blowing alone. But like, he loves the person next to me, no matter what race they are, how they're dressed, how they smell that day, whether or not they work or don't work, if they're stay-at-home mom, whatever. He loves them just as much as he loves me.
Yeah.
When you start seeing that, it changes the game as well.
Changes the perspective.
Yeah, man.
Changes the way you view things. Yeah, like you said, the way you interact, the way you communicate with people, and because there's a new profound way of like experiencing the gooder things.
Way gooder things.
So where'd gooder come from?
I don't remember. I remember hearing it one day and I laughed.
Because now it's like one of your coined phrases.
It is, yeah. I laughed.
Like, it's gooder.
It is. It's way gooder. Yeah. I think I heard it from being in the plumbing industry.
Okay.
And it was it wasn't something that was on purpose. It was more of a joke. I'm like, man, I'm gonna start using that, and I love it. And people may look at me like I'm dumb because I say way gooder, but I use it purposefully.
Yeah.
I say way gooder all the time.
Yeah.
And it's to get a reaction out of people.
Right.
to know that I'm lighthearted and fun and easygoing. I'll say gooder, and people will go, ha,
Yeah.
and you're an idiot. But it just lightens the mood, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, way gooder is my catchphrase.
That's fun. I use the word like when I'm filming a wedding. Like gorgeous. I go gorgeous, just gorgeous.
What is that from?
I have no idea.
Is that from Edna Mode in The Incredibles?
Oh, you know what? It might be.
Darling.
Yeah, gorgeous, darling. Yeah, yeah. One of the back memories of watching movies, and yeah. So now, like when a bride's like when she has her gown on or something, and I'll enter the room, it's like, you're just gorgeous. Look at you.
And what happens to her face?
Oh, they light up,
exactly.
laughing. They just go crazy, and the bridesmaids go crazy. The mom, the aunt, whoever's in the room, they just start laughing. That, and I'll walk out to people and be like, "You're so bougie," and they start laughing.
You know,
but that reactionary thing is a real thing that I think people really enjoy, because again, like you said, it shows you're just lighthearted. You know, you're there to you know, to have a good time, or to, you know, just be fun. You know, so it was actually really quickly. So going back to, you know, the light switch moment, I feel like it happened pretty quickly. That's when you were approached to be the youth leader. Yeah.
So again, my heart was always to work with young people in one way or another. Never wanted to be a pastor of any sort, because that just didn't sound like fun to me. But I do have a heart for young people. So our youth group was going through transition, and a good friend of ours, Michelle Gruber, was the leader of the youth group, and then she pulled us along side and say, hey, we would love for you guys to help. You know, we need some youth leaders. And of course, I'm going to say yes. Going back, Lynette and I first being married, we went to a prophetic conference in Hawaii, and this prophet named Jim LaFoon, he prophesied over me. He's like, man, young people are attracted to you like cats are attracted to cat people. Love people. Young people just love to be around you. I see you with a guitar. I didn't play guitar at the time.
You didn't play?
No.
Okay.
I see you with a guitar. I see you leading worship, and I see you just leading young people. And so that stuck with me. Even before that, I knew I wanted to work with young people.
Okay.
So I worked with young people for, you know, many years in one way or another, through church or through organizations like I shared earlier. And so my answer is always going to be yes, I'll work with young people. So she helped us come along, and quickly it turned into, man, we would love for you guys to be the next leaders.
Yeah.
And it was scary, but also like, heck yeah, we'll do that. Scary in the sense, like, I feel like I would fail as a youth leader because of the season I was in. Like, what if I go into a dark mind space again?
Yeah.
Like, I would be letting these kids down. And then, you know, anyway, that didn't happen.
Right.
I was able to kick myself out of those dark spaces really quick. So my wife and I have been leading the student ministry at Northgate Church now for the past couple years, and it's been amazing, man.
Yeah.
It's been so cool. I grew up in a youth ministry where you go for the candy and the games.
Yeah.
We didn't want that in our youth ministry.
Yeah.
There's an element of games and fun. We do something fun every month. We try to. But engaging these young hearts and young minds and sharing identity with them, especially with the season, you know, the seasons that we've been in our life.
Yeah.
Speaking truth over them and letting them speak back, and basically discussing, you know, what God's doing in their life. It's so much more fun than just say, hey, bring your friends, we're going to have fun and have candy and pizza. So conversations are great. We have a smaller youth group, and we only have them for like 45 minutes on a Sunday. So there's only so much in depth that you can do, but we set it up to be more of a family style.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's important in this room. You talk, you tell the joke, you know, we're going to respond.
Right.
We talk, we tell a joke, you guys can respond. And it's just been really cool to see the growth. Yeah. Kids are excited to come to youth group.
Yeah, that's cool. I had a thought and it just left. I hate when that happens. Gosh dang it. Oh, you sharing that made me think of the word intentional.
Intentional.
Like, I think that's one of my, I was talking with Zach Wilcox. We got coffee, or we got lunch like 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about that word intentional, and we both feel like that's such a fiery thing right now. Like, people don't want to just show up to events or things just to show up. Like, there has to be a serious intentionality to go, no, you want to show up to this because we're going to be very intentional about building it. We're going to be very intentional about structuring it and making sure everyone's free and have fun. And, you know, you can be yourself. Like, there's no judgment. Like, just show up. We'll be intentional.
A little bit of judgment. So, there's a little bit of judgment. Some kids are just, you know, they're built that way.
Yeah.
No judgment. It's all love. But, you know, you get some of the hard heads.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, they're teenagers, man. Mm-hmm. There's going to be some hard heads. I was one.
I was one too.
I'm sure you weren't. You know, but man, we get to love on these kids well.
Yeah.
And I think they enjoy being there because they show up every week.
Yeah.
And then we hear it from parents and all that stuff. Like, oh, my kids just love coming to the youth group, which is great. But when it comes to intentionality, there was a few things that I learned when I was younger in how to relate to young people, to be intentional with young people. And you can see when you are intentional with these things, kids light up.
Yeah.
I'll share them with you. You ready?
Yeah.
There's 5 things that I learned working with young people. They love to talk about themselves, right? And they love to talk about these 5 things: food, sports, music, tattoos, and family.
Okay.
Now, any of those are interchangeable now because times change, right? So,
yeah.
You know, it could be social media, whatever. So I learned to be well-rounded in all those things.
Okay.
I was intentional with learning the sports, with learning the music and all those things because it helps me to relate to these young people. What I really love is being in our youth group and talking to the young person that loves sports. We have one kid named Ward. He plays hockey. So I learned a little bit more about hockey.
Okay.
So if I ask Ward about hockey, dude will talk for hours nonstop about hockey. And I love it because he lights up and he's like, man, this. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about for the most part, but I know a little bit about hockey.
Yeah.
But he will just talk and I love it.
Yeah.
You know, there's another kid named Liam. And Liam is funny.
Yeah.
So if you get talking, you know, about humor, dude will just continuously make you laugh.
Yeah.
And I love it. My kids love music. My oldest daughter, Bailey, loves music. And if you were to talk to her about music, she lights up and she'll talk about music, you know, and you start being intentional with figuring out what these kids love.
Yeah.
And when you can be intentional with that and you have a conversation around the things that they love, they'll be your friends for life, man.
Yeah.
You can really impact their life by just expressing one of the things that they love.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so cool.
Yeah. And honestly, you don't have to know like everything about it. You just have to have questions ready.
Yeah.
Because that just opening the door to have a conversation with them.
If you know you're going to meet with someone who loves sports,
you kind of want to know a little bit.
Go to ESPN.com for like 10 minutes and say, man, did you catch that game last night?
Caitlin Clark?
Yeah,
what?
I was just going to say between the Fever and the
Let's
Aces.
Go, CC.
Yeah. You know, and they'll be like, yeah, man, I love Caitlin Clark. She's so cool. Or, you know, when it comes to music, you know, man, I listened to this song this morning. It was really good. Do you know who it's by? I mean, you know, and be intentional that way. And I mean, it's so cool to see kids light up when you can have a conversation with something that they love.
Yeah. Instead
of just telling them, you know, something every week. Like,
right.
Yeah.
That's cool. I love that. I love that for you and your family. So you have been sharing with me a few things about. Do you want to talk about the clothing?
Yeah, dude. Let's do that.
I think that's fun. So
yeah,
you're kind of creating. You're in the early process of like designing a shirt company and
apparel. We'll call it apparel company.
Apparel company.
Yeah. So I'm excited for what you were doing. Right. So you have this creative thing that you're doing with the podcast and your photography, and you've been doing it for years. And I love the life that it gives you.
Yeah.
And the life that comes out of you when you do that. Like I want to do the same thing, because I think of myself as a creative. I love art and all that kind of stuff.
Yep. Oh, by the way, he's the guy that drew this bear
Yeah, I did.
He's the one. He's the one that drew that.
A little Care Bear.
It's one of my favorite art pieces.
Yeah, that was me. Hey, shout out to me. So I love the creative aspect of things, and I love what creativity does in someone's life. I love how it makes people smile. I love how it makes them feel loved or feel warm or feel good, right?
Yeah.
And so, for years I actually had ideas on how to make, a brand. I don't know how to go about it, but I've had ideas on T-shirts and, slogans or catchphrases, stuff like that.
Yep.
But recently, I've been diving into, how to start a business or side hustles to make some extra income. I'm like, man, it would be really cool to get my catchphrase out on a T-shirt in many different ways. And my catchphrase is way gooder.
Way gooder.
With way gooder, you can apply that to many different ways, in many different ways. Like, for instance, I love pizza, but I love steak. And for me right now in my carnivore season, steak is the way gooder way.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll put, like a steak over a pizza and be like, way gooder way.
Yeah.
Just make it fun. Right.
Yeah.
Or I had one with Jesus with 2 thumbs up, Jesus being the way gooder way. Right. John 14:6, I am the way, the truth, and the life.
Yeah.
He's the way gooder way. Tops for sure. But, just having fun with it. And eventually, I love to start a coffee shop and use that catchphrase, for the coffee shop in many different ways. But, have a T-shirt that says way gooder way. It would just be ultimate. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
What's your thought process as far as like designing or going about like is it going to be more open for kind of like more exclusivity to certain catchphrases or graphics like once a month or a year? I mean, have you gotten that far, or are you just really in the beginning phase and figuring out
on things, right? What market do I want to reach?
Yeah.
What age group and all that kind of stuff. And I see the T-shirts that are coming out now, and I see the clothing style that young people are wearing. So I don't want it to just be a generic T-shirt that you can pick up on Amazon for, $9.99.
Okay.
I want high quality shirts with, awesome graphics that young people will love to wear. There's a lot of Christian-based clothing brands out there, lots of colors and lots of catchphrases and, all these things. So I want to kind of enter in that market, but bring it with a fresh twist. Right?
Yeah.
You have scriptures on shirts, but, make it more fun. John 3:16, something like that. For God so loved the world that, the way gooder way for us to learn love was, through Jesus. Whatever, just have fun with it.
Just unique language.
Yeah. Set myself apart, right?
Okay, yeah.
So I want to do something like that, high quality shirts that I could see young people wearing.
Okay.
And again, I'm young. I'm like 24. So I'd wear them too.
Yeah.
Sorry, 25.
Yeah. I'm 25 too. That's fun. That's cool. I love one of my favorite things about being creative is it gives you the option to try something new, but you can customize it to where it's actually a part of you.
Yeah.
Like the way you design, the way you can conceptualize things and graphics and artwork. And like, with 8 billion people on the planet, no one is you.
Exactly.
And like, that's one of my favorite things about being in the creative field, or creative media or creative arts or whatever you would call it is, there's 8 billion people on the planet, but there's only one Sam. There's only one Ron. There's only one so. And so that's one of the really cool pieces, because I feel like a lot of people can sometimes feel overwhelmed, or they kind of can get in that space of, Johnny Appleseed is already doing that. Why would I want to start that?
Yeah, they think that the market is saturated.
Yeah.
In whatever, frame it is. But tell you what, people need good plumbers all the time, no matter where you are.
Yeah.
Even if there's 12 plumbing companies, one of those companies is going to be busy, so you might be the next one up, right?
Yep.
But with art, media, whatever, it's not saturated. If people are consuming, even if it's just a few people, that means that the market is ripe.
Yeah.
Right. And what I love about God is there's this quote from Bill Johnson. It says, God made us all in a unique way, but we were all made in his image. I'm paraphrasing. But for you to not be who you truly are is one aspect of God that someone is not going to see.
Yeah.
And it might be that aspect that they need to see in order to receive who he is, right? So if I'm not being authentically me in whatever I do, I might be missing someone.
Right.
Right. So by me expressing who I am through my creativity, by me being funny or whatever, the wisdom I carry, if I'm being expressively me, then I could reach someone.
Yeah.
So market's not saturated. There's somebody out there that's going to receive it, and there's somebody out there who's going to know, who Jesus is because of it.
Yeah.
I have to think of it that way.
Yeah. I love one of my good friends, Lauren Miller, who runs a DJ company and amongst other things. He pretty much every time I work with him, during like the vendor meal process, we'll be chitting and chatting and stuff. And he'll always say, or always make the comment, he's like, there's a lot of people who do what you do, but nobody does it like you.
Yeah.
And like he's one of those guys that's like, he's always looking to inspire and, motivate. And he's such a good dude. But he said that, I think I heard him say that for the first time maybe 2 years ago at a wedding we were working at. And I was like, I really like that. Like, that's really good. So I always think of that because like sometimes I'll hit the rut with like editing and, all these things. But then I have to remind myself, it's like, Sam, nobody's going to do it like you do. Like stick to what you do. You don't have to, you can go out and find motivation and inspiration from what other creatives are doing. But for me, it's always been like going back to that root of nobody's going to do it like you do.
Yeah.
So do what you do and just stick to it.
Yeah.
And
your thumbprint's going to be on that.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, back to art pieces. There's something different in my brain when it comes to art. And I never was just like a flat story drawer.
Yeah.
I could draw things like the way I see them, but what makes me come alive when I'm drawing is to do something crazy like that.
Yeah.
All right, just hit the mic. But you add in all these different design elements, and it makes it come to life in a different way.
Yeah.
And for some reason, my brain was always wired that way. I see things different, and I do things different than the next person. But it was a while before I felt like what I had to offer was good.
Okay.
Now I know what I have to offer is good.
Yeah.
Because he put it in me.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah. I mean, what you do is fantastic. What I end up doing is going to be fantastic, and the world's gonna be a way gooder place because of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. Still touching base on like the creative piece. I think one of the hardest struggles people face is just not starting.
Dude.
Because they'll constantly think, and they'll have all these ideas. Like laying down in bed at night is one of my worst times to start thinking. Because if I start thinking, it'll be 2 hours, it'll be 3 a.m. in the morning, and I'm like, Sam, you have to go to bed.
Yeah.
But just constant thinking, like when those gears start turning, it is very hard to stop them.
Switch it from bed to the toilet.
Yeah.
it's easier to do the thinking on the toilet.
Yeah.
And your body tells you when you have to get up because you can't feel your legs
Yep.
anymore.
Yeah.
It's time to go, Sam.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, just that whole starting process. And it's always fascinating because honestly, just for someone to start could be the stopping point. If they don't start, that could be just the one little stopping point to where their life might not change dramatically that benefits, their dreams and desires. And, that was something I experienced in just when I felt like it was time to go full time in the wedding industry.
Yeah.
It was like, I really think I got to start, like, if I want to do this, like, I got to start being, level up my game, be professional, go full time. And that was like the next big jump that I had to do. And I made that. I was still living at your house at the time when I made that full leap. And that's when COVID hit. Yeah. It's like 2 weeks later, I'm full time. 2 weeks later, boom, COVID hit. And I'm like, well, all right, here we go, but it was the best thing ever because my first initial thought when everything shut down, I was like, well, if you can't make it through COVID, you're not going to make it at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a driving factor. And I mean, 5 years later,
Yeah.
6 years later.
But part of my friend scared the shit out of you at the
Oh
beginning.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there would be,
because I remember when you were doing more of the photography side.
yeah.
And you would come to Fresh Start and like take pictures and stuff
Mhm.
and charge very little.
Yep.
And then now you have this business where you're charging multi-millions of dollars to do a video for people.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
No, but
Going raise 150,000.
yeah. But going from just doing photography to saying, okay, I feel like I need to do this. I mean, that was probably scary, right? Like, I'm gonna go full time into
videography. And it again, but it set the standard now.
Mm-hmm.
So like so to go back to like the comment you make, to bring in extra cash as like a side hustle. I always laugh at that when people or I laugh internally, like, haha, internally. Cause it's like, but what if it wasn't just a side hustle?
Mm-hmm.
Cause that's kind of where my mentality was at in wedding. It's like, oh, I'm starting to get some bookings here and there, and it's like, it could be a side hustle. I can make some extra cash and that'd be great. But that's not what I wanted. It was great. Like the money at the time, what I was charging, I thought was amazing. But it wasn't until I went full time and had like the self-realization to go, no, if you want to be full time, my thoughts were different, my actions were different, my business model dramatically changed. I had to learn about branding and structuring and taxes and all the things, so it leveled up the experience to go, this is what it takes to be full time.
So going from just doing a business to scaling it to the size that it is today.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot, man. I think what people have going against them is fear.
Yeah.
Right? We all have amazing ideas, and you may have heard this before, like the most rich place in the world is the grave, because there's books that weren't written, there's movies that weren't produced.
Yeah.
They died with the person, right?
Yeah.
Because of fear kept them from taking the step.
Yeah.
So you have these great ideas, but fear comes in and says, no, you can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But when fear's barking at your door and you realize that when you open the door, it's just a little chihuahua.
Yeah.
I mean, you're like, what the heck was I scared of?
Yeah.
And then when you start doing something that you're passionate about and that you really love, and you break through that little bit of fear, you're like, man, there's freedom right there.
It builds.
Yeah.
Fear.
It's like Red Bull, huh? It just gives you wings.
It just gives you wings. If you can harness fear and use it as a fuel source to build something, because I think there's a healthiness to fear. It makes you aware of what could go wrong, but what's the opposite of fear? Faith. Like, you can experience greatness, you can experience success, and you can experience all these different avenues and connections even that you would have never dreamed of or ever had if you didn't just take that step. Go buy that website, go experiment with a t-shirt company, like figure out what that looks like. And I applaud people who just take that step, that first initial. It's funny because people can ask for investments, they can ask for financial help, and I love it. But there's also that first step of going, I'm actually going to take the first step and let's see what becomes attracted to my first step. And I experienced both ends of that, which is it's amazing. I actually saw a statistic the other day. In the United States, what was it? It was like 65 or 70%. It was a very high number of people that actually want to work for themselves. They want their own business. They want to do their own thing, but they don't take that first step.
Oh yeah.
They won't go after it. They won't research it and figure out, how do I make this happen? And that's what I love about grace and faith and all the things is like you just got to trust yourself, trust God, and just watch as things unfold.
Yeah. Now, the American people, actually people in general, I think, we want to be told the process, how to do things, because it's more comfortable. We grew up that way, like learning a certain way in school. Religion has become that as well. Growing up, like they teach you how to do things step by step. And
Yeah.
so we're comfortable living within that realm, right?
Mm,
To step outside that realm is uncomfortable,
yeah.
but when you're uncomfortable, that's where growth happens.
Yeah.
And failure isn't fatal, right?
Right.
Failure is experience, and we talk about experience. When you have that experience, and the next thing comes up, you already had experience of stepping out
Yep.
once, go out, step out again,
Yep.
and you just realize the growth that happens, exponential growth,
Yeah.
when you start taking those steps. And fear can get really loud,
Mm-hmm.
and fear can hold you back. But once you bust through, man, there's nothing that can hold you back.
It's so freeing.
Yeah,
That-
we're ready for our breakthroughs in our life.
Yeah.
I mean, we're ready. I got some things on my heart and mind on how to grow in business.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife and I are ready.
Yeah.
We're excited, man.
I love
The
it.
future's bright.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's another perspective that I tend to at least try to think about. I mean, I'll have rough days, be like, oh man, I really hope I get this booking, or I really hope I get this new client, or just that stress that comes with running a business. Like that's it's always going to be there. But on the upside is always knowing that like it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna work out. It's gonna be okay. And that I that hit me maybe a year and a half ago, when I was starting to be really challenged of being like, you realize where you started and where you're at today. Like you're fine. You're gonna be fine. And so that stress level has kind of like exchanged more on like the side of hope to go, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Like just keep doing what you're doing. Keep loving on people, keep capturing content for them, keep covering weddings and just being you.
Yeah.
You're going to be fine. And it's
Yeah.
just like that sense is just kind of like,
Do you ever find
let you
yourself just like
breathe.
when you have those moments, you ever go back and read reviews of what people have left?
Oh,
you?
yeah. Yeah, the good and the bad.
Oh, geez. There's bad ones?
I have one bad review from
Screw
years
them.
ago.
I mean, love them.
Years ago.
Love them.
That was it was I don't have an issue taking the blame. But yeah, that was a hot mess. But one of my good friends said, because it was such a heavy thing for me, because it's always like a business owner's number one priority is like have 5-star great reviews, and when I got and it was I'm just gonna say it was not good. A lot of things were said, but I had actually called my friend and I was like, hey, you've been at this for a really long time. I said, I'm having a really hard time like processing this negativity and, this review and stuff. And he's like, that's when you've made it. And I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, that's when you've made it in the public eye if you get a bad review. He goes, have you ever been to court? He's like, have you been sued before? And I was like, no. He's like, I've been to court. He's like, I've been sued before. He's like, it all works out. He was like, and he's phenomenal, very, very successful business guy. But he just said it. He's like, that's when you're starting to make things happen for yourself. He's like, you can't please everybody. Not everybody is going to be happy.
Yeah.
He goes, but what you do, he's like, take this experience, learn from it, and just move on. He's like, just know what you would do differently. Make it, just move on from it. He's like, it'll be fine. And I was like, okay. But it was so reassuring to talk with someone who's had that experience, because that was the first time for me to have that experience, for him to relate to me. Now I have the experience. And sure enough, it was maybe a year later, someone else called me because they got a negative review. Dude. And they were like, I'm freaking out. I don't know what to do. Like, this is the worst thing ever. I told them what he told me, because he had, and he transferred it to me, and I transferred it to them.
That's what I was talking about earlier. It gives other people permission to overcome the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And now it's like, it's fine. It's whatever,
Yeah.
It sucks, but you learn from it, and that's life. And humans are humans, people are people. And but yeah, it was funny because it was a girl that called me who runs a photography business, and she's like, I'm about to cry. She's like, I don't know what happened. Like, I thought the session went great, and yada yada yada. And I was like, don't worry about it. I said, just respond professionally. If you can think of anything to kind of make up for whatever, I was like, just offer it for free, try to save grace, and so, but yeah, she was fine. It was like a week later, she texted me. She was like, okay. She's like, I'm starting to feel better. I was like, well, that's good. Awesome. So
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's
experience is good. Not always wanted, but always needed.
Yeah. Don't let it change you personally though.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, 8 billion people in the world, like you said earlier. There's going to be a few that aren't going to like what you do, but there's going to be a majority of people that are going to love what you do.
Yeah.
But if you let the negative ones make you different, then you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect example is Caitlin Clark.
Who?
Caitlin Clark. CC. Yeah, you know who she is. There's so many people, but she's a great example though, because she's dominating.
Yeah.
But then there's people who are like, whatever.
And they try to beat her up on the court.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I love that her teammate came to her defense.
Leah? Is that her name?
I
Leah?
forget her name, but man, it's just, it's so cool to see people back you up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun. Cool. Well, we're going to be wrapping this up. Is there any platform or space you want people to find you, follow you?
Yeah.
Anything?
I'm going to be coming up with, I'm going to be coming up with a course for people to learn carnivore.
Okay.
And because I would love to help people, get their health back like I did for me. But yeah, that course will be coming out hopefully in the next few months. How to do it on budget, how to do it as a tradesman, how to do it, the right way, the snacks that you can get and all that stuff. How to do dirty or lazy carnivore and still, basically make your health gooder.
Yeah.
But yeah, they can follow me on the carnivore trip on Instagram. It's _carnivore trip. They can follow me on Facebook as well. My name's Ron. Hey. And I'm going to be putting out content more frequently now, just kind of based on the carnivore diet and my experience. And if it's something that they want to, talk to me about, awesome. I love sharing the knowledge and I love sharing the wisdom around it. Again, is it for everyone? Yes. Will everyone want to do it? No. But those who want to try, I'm your man.
I think that's the big thing is like, just give it 2 weeks. Like try 14 days.
14 days.
Like just give it a shot.
You know what? I agree. It's a lot of things that happen in 14 days, but to really have the effects of carnivore, you need 60 to 90 days. Yeah. And so I want to try to walk with people 30, 60, 90 days. Okay. And the highs and the lows and just help people along the way. Because if they get past the 90 days and they notice how their body's feeling, it could be something that changes their life for a long period of time.
100%.
So yeah, I'm going to be putting something out, hopefully within the next couple months, ebook, courses, menus, some videos and stuff like that. Cool. But yeah, until then, follow me on the _carnivore trip on Instagram.
There we go. I love it. Well, there you go. The _carnivore trip on Instagram.
That's me. Yeah.
This is Ron Lawson, by the way.
Hi. Tat in the hat.
Tat in the hat.
That's because the tattoos in the hat.
Yeah.
One of your guests, Amanda.
Yeah.
She gave me that nickname.
I like it. That's fun. Yeah, Amanda. Sweet Treats by Amanda. Yeah, I think that's it. Sweet Treats by Amanda.
Something. Baker. I saw that video, man, and that cake.
Dude.
The chocolate cake that's from like Matilda.
The chocolate cake was good, but the vegan cake.
Man. The vegan cake
was very good. It was good. I'm a fan of vegan, her vegan cakes, what she bakes, because it was very good.
Yeah.
It was good. The blueberries were spot on, but it was delicious.
My kids asked me what I wanted for my birthday last year, and I said, well, I want my meal to be a ribeye, and I want my dessert to be a ribeye.
Yeah.
And in the morning for breakfast,
make it a ribeye.
Yeah, we'll be good. Side of ribeye,
awesome.
Please. Yeah.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, always bearsdon'tfly.com. Subscribe for free on YouTube and Spotify. Follow me on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram.
All the things.
Yeah, I think that's all of them. But yeah, YouTube and Spotify. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Good deal, man.